Ask Amy.
Hi, this is another episode of Ask Amy, and this is a question. Hey, Amy, I have a hard time with conflict. When discussing my obstacles or disappointments or confronting other people's behavior, I can't get out my story or my words without crying. How do you handle hard conversations without crying? Kelsey. Well, Kelsey, this is a great question. I think this happens to a lot of people. The first thing is that the first thing is that crying isn't always bad, you know? Sometimes you have feelings and they come up and you're allowed to feel them. Crying gets the sadness out, as I used to say on Free to Be You and Me, which is an old lady reference that you should Google. But so that's one thing. Sometimes feeling your feelings isn't something you have to make apologies for or change. But if you feel like it's getting in the way of your message, which it sometimes can, or it can kind of manipulate the situation or confuse the situation, then I would suggest practicing conflict in small ways. And what I mean is practice asking for what you want with strangers. Or practice bringing things up that bother you with people that aren't so charged for you. So that when you do have big conversations with people, you have a little bit of practice in learning how to deal with your feelings and deal with your breathing and all that stuff and kind of not be overwhelmed by what you're feeling. You know, in relationship conversations, tears can sometimes be natural and, it's not something you necessarily have to fight. In professional situations, sometimes tears are not appropriate when you're talking to your boss. So your instinct to try to figure out how to get in front of it can be good if you feel like it's getting in your way. So I guess my advice would be to practice in small ways conflict, because none of us are particularly good at it, and it's kind of like a learned skill. Also, just don't be so hard on yourself if tears do come up. I mean, in fact, you might even want to start, if you're having a conversation, you might even want to say to the person, I know I'm crying, but I'm not as upset as you think I am, or this happens to me sometimes, and don't be scared by it. Or you could even warn someone before you have a conversation. I might get teary-eyed, but, that's okay. I mean, those kind of things can work. And, if someone asks you why you're crying, you could just say, because of how wrong you are. Well, anyway, this has been Ask Amy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Ask Amy. So sad.